Judy's just reading up on the info on there, and apparently here the god Bacchus was around, and he was the god of mystical drunkenness and orgiastic ecstasy. It's my sort of god. Hello and welcome to episode 50, would you believe, of Sailing Fair Isle. We never did think we'd be going this long. It's all down to the support we've had from you guys. So a big thank you to all our subscribers and of course to our patrons, without who this wouldn't be possible. I'm here on my own, as you see. Again, Judy's been backwards and forwards, but the baby will be born the end of this week. So normality will return. Hallelujah. Hope you enjoy the film. Coming up, sheltering from the Meltemi is becoming a running theme in the Aegean. Visiting a place that 2,500 years ago was the centre of the world. And heading for an exciting meetup on the island of Syros. The start of our trip across the Aegean from mainland Greece to Turkey could not have been better. Uninhabited islands, and as we are now out of the main holiday season, empty anchorages as well. Perfect weather, clear waters, time for a swim. We did have some provisioning to do though, and we needed to fill the boat's tanks with water. So the first town key was earmarked for both those things. This is Finike. Okay, drop it there. A typical town quay, no slime line, so you need to drop the anchor and reverse into the quayside. It needs careful deployment of the chain, but even on Fair Isle that has no steering in reverse, it's not as difficult as it looks, at least in good weather. We liked Finike, a friendly town with good tavernas and shops. So now fully provisioned, we head off through the Cyclades. We have no set route, it's always good to be flexible and respond to conditions. We do, however, need to be in Syros in the middle of October for a very special meetup. More on that later. We also have to see Delos, an island that 2,500 years ago was chock full of magnificent marble temples and granite houses at a time when most of the world was still living in mud huts. First of all though, we were in search of a good anchorage with shelter from the Meltemi, which was due to have a brief blast from the north. Fortunately, Nicole and Paul had tipped us off about this place on the west coast of Kinthos. Perfect shelter. No need for shelter today though. Excellent conditions for the sail across to Kinthos, which ended up being a very odd looking island, from the sea at least. The whole northwest coast seemed to be in the process of being built. Houses, hotels, everything. It wasn't until we rounded the corner to the anchorage that we saw anything habitable. Strange. The promised shelter was certainly here though. Just a bit of buffeting on the hook with dead flat seas. Something very strange happened last night. We had rain. Haven't seen rain since, well, I think there was a day in May, wasn't there, in Croatia? We had a little bit of rain.
Yeah, I think it's been a very long time. You can see it's quite arid around here. It doesn't happen that often. It's due to rain again today, like quite a lot, and it's quite windy, so yeah. It's a walking day, I think.
Yeah, look, we're British, so you know, we walk in the rain, that's what we do. It's fine. So we're going to go for a little walk in this lovely little bay here. We can go all the way up, and there's a, you might be able to see just in the distance there, loads of masts. So that is the anchorage we was actually aiming for, which is a little isthmus that sort of goes through with these lovely 2 anchorages. But it was very busy last night, so we came in here. We need a bit of swinging room with all the wind, because that's the other thing, is as well as rain, we got 35 knots of wind. It's gusting about 25 now. So let's have a little walk over the hills and get blown around a little bit.
And take the rubbish in.
Oh yeah,
rubbish.
Rubbish.
There's no shop here, sadly.
Yeah, there is a taverna, so we can have lunch. That's good.
We're still recording.
This walk is, I've almost certainly got a broken toe.
Yeah, he claims it's going to fall off. I don't think it will, because the skin will sort of keep it off, won't it?
Julie thinks it's just bruised, but obviously it's broken and I need lots of sympathy and hot tea.
No, I do think it might be broken. There's not much you can do about a broken toe, is there?
No, I've strapped it up. And I've taken the insole out of my boot, so at least I've got some space. So we'll see. Oh, another gust coming. Bravely soldiering on the promise of a good taverna meal. And we actually found one of the nicest walks so far in Greece. And as an added bonus, it was warm and sheltered on the coast, especially behind these very impressive dry stone walls. What a good idea. Judy, with a full set of unbroken toes, went to explore. She wasn't happy, she doesn't like heights. You do get a good view of the bay though, it's getting breezy here.
People up there. Very much.
An open taverna. That's what we need. And look at the sea beyond the beyond the cove. It's pretty rough. It's still well sheltered in here though.
No, it's lovely.
No swell gets into this series of bays though, so it's a great place to be, and an isthmus is always fun. Haven't seen one like this since the Scilly Isles. The taverna meal definitely hit the spot, and it's got to have one of the best views in Greece.
Hello, good morning. It's a much better morning today. Still a bit of a breeze, which is good because we're going sailing, but not as much as last night or yesterday. Here it is. Reasonably quiet anchorage. First thing in the day, absolutely lovely. Some have already gone. Oh, there's Steve.
Yeah, just banding down the hatches. It's going to be a little bit of leftover swell in there. I think it'll be a bit choppy.
Yeah, that's why we're leaving when we are, because we're going to have a bit of breeze this morning, and then this afternoon it's going to drop, so we're going to make the best of it. We're off to Syros, which is about 6 hours. I'm looking forward to it.
We've learned the hard way not to skimp with preparation if there's any chance of a swell.
When we first got here, there were loo rolls in every cupboard, and I thought that was slightly strange until we started moving. Then I thought, good plan. Loo rolls and kitchen roll, every cupboard.
Get the engine going. We've got sort of 10 minutes worth of clearing up to do, but I like to have the engine going in advance of going out. If something's going to go wrong with the diesel engine, it's going to happen in the first sort of 10 minutes, usually fuel related. But yeah, good to keep it warmed up as well. We've got our route in then.
Yep. There we go. So we're going round the north of the island, it reckons, is the best way.
Yeah.
And then to Syros. I haven't put the exact...
I'm not sure that's the quickest way, because that's all it's worried about, because it doesn't know about the weather. But this is going to be bashing into the waves. That would be much easier to sail. But actually then we'd probably have a not such a good angle there, because the swell is going to be there and it'll be beam on. So yeah, I don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen of another, which way round we go.
Should we do what it says?
Okay. Have a little check around. Obviously you want to make sure that the water's coming out of the exhaust and the cooling system's working properly. I always shorten up I've got 2 lines on the dinghy here. I shorten them up while we're manoeuvring out of the anchorages because I'm always worried about them, even though they're floating, being sucked down into the prop. Mainsail's out of the bag and ready to go. I'll just take the halyard off the rail here where we put it to stop it clanking around, and connect it up because it's going to be easier to do here than when we're out at sea. It's always good to have your sails ready to go when leaving or entering an anchorage. Not so much the mainsail, but definitely the jib, which we have instantly ready to deploy, same as the anchor. You want options if your engine fails in an anchorage or port, and sod's law, that's precisely where it will happen. And once I've connected it, I'll always keep it tight. So I'll put it down around the winch, just so it's not flapping around and getting into trouble, which is what ropes do if you leave them loose. Prep done and we're off. Now you may have seen these pictures on Facebook. We posted it with information about the upcoming meetup in Syros. This was some really good sailing channels. Exciting. Our immediate excitement, though, was for our visit to Delos.
So you've got to get up early in the morning to get to Delos because you can't anchor overnight. You've just had a breakfast.
Got up very early in the morning, about 7 o'clock I think. Yes, but the sun's shining. What more can you ask for?
We had anchored around the corner and headed around at dawn, as people had recommended on Savvy Navy. There's a couple of marked anchorages on here. Both are tricky, shallow and not with very good holding. We ended up heading for the patch of sand you could see on the satellite picture.
So we got it anchored. There's Delos. We're on our way in, but it's really windy. It was a struggle to anchor actually, wasn't it?
It was, took us 3 goes.
You can see actually we're in this bit of white just here. There is only one bit of white and it's in the slightly shallower bit. We only got a couple of meters under us. We were in the deeper bit over there which had sort of 3 meters under it, and that was the seagrass, so we actually dragged anchor a little bit in that. We couldn't set it properly in this wind, so we've had to come into the slightly shallower water to get to the sand, but we are. So now we're away. Oh look, there's bits of ruins just there.
There are. I hope there's a plan, because apparently it's a 3-hour tour, but you won't know where you are without a pamphlet or a guide.
Yeah.
It looks very much like there isn't anyone over there at the moment, so...
Well, it is a Sunday, but it should be open on a Sunday because it's that sort of place. I hope you can hear us. Oh, it's really windy. More than my hat.
It's very windy.
So yeah, we're here. This was the centre of the world 3,000 years ago, this place. And it's really because it's the last best anchorage between Europe and Asia. So if you're the Silk Route that went across the Aegean from Turkey to Greece and beyond, this was the last sort of safe anchorage, but I don't think that's safe to me. I'm actually quite worried about it.
Quite a few rocks, and it is very shallow.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm sure it was different back in the day.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we're in. It is open. We were worried that there was no one around. We are the first people out here, which is nice. The other good news is there's no charge today because it's European Heritage Day.
It is.
I'm glad they don't know we're British and not really European anymore. Maybe they would have charged us.
Who knows?
It's amazing to have the place to ourselves, isn't it?
Yes, the pictures I've seen have just been of crowds and crowds of people.
Yeah.
There's a tour, look. There's an arrow there.
Yeah. Well, as close as we're going to get to a tour, so
I've got my map.
let's follow that. The boat's out there. It is the beauty of having a boat getting to here before, I think the first tourist boat's supposed to come at 10 o'clock. So we have the place to ourselves for a bit. And what a place. It's not just the artefacts that litter the island from 2,500 years ago, it's the scale of the place. And the feeling as you walk around that these would have been alleyways with high buildings and magnificent temples. You really can imagine what it would have been like back in the day. For a visitor then, it must have been like landing on another planet.
So these are all separate houses, are they?
I think they must be. 30,000 people lived here then.
Yeah.
That's quite a few houses.
I'm going to go and have a look at
Now that's, someone's got a grand entranceway. Oh my god, and look at that in there.
that. Amazing. Wow.
Pretty amazing that you can just walk around here. I'm trying to get through to the bit where the pillars are there, because we could see there's some really nice mosaics on the floor there, but we couldn't. It's roped off from that side. We'll be able to get around here.
For 700 years, Delos was the cultural and trading centre of the world, but it became more and more sacred, and this eventually led to its downfall.
Bits of pathway left.
In Greek mythology, it's claimed this is the birthplace of the god Apollo and his twin sister Artemis. So, in 426 BC, all burial sites were cleared, and it was decided no one should be allowed to die or be born on Delos. It needed to remain sacred for the gods. And by 422 BC, the Athenians completed the purification by exiling all the local people. Delos has never been overbuilt from that time, being left to slowly decay as it was left over 2,000 years ago.
This one's just a lattice. Yeah. For very good reasons, you can't actually get through to where the mosaics are. I can stick the camera through on the stick.
Imagine how this would look built entirely in white marble.
Pretty impressive theatre. Seats 6,500 people.
And the best seats in the house, all marble, in pretty good nick.
Apparently. So this would have all been a marble staircase, basically. And they gathered all the water from it in here. Clever. What do you reckon? They could do a bit of a Cartagena, couldn't they? And get some of these and recreate it a bit. Put some on, if that would be allowed.
I think it's better as it is.
Yeah.
I think the fact they've left as much as they can,
Yeah.
as it was.
Even from the small percentage of structure that remains of Delos, its grandeur is obvious and sprawls over most of the island. Even Mount Kinthos to the north was topped by a magnificent temple to Zeus and Athena that would have been visible far out to sea. No wonder there's a Greek proverb that says, "You sing as if sailing to Delos."
Not much left of Zeus's temple then.
No,
Lots of bits of stone for people to pile up.
it's got a good position
Seems to
though.
be the thing to do up here.
We had 4 hours in the end, completely alone on the island. We left as the tourists arrived.
Good morning from Mykonos. It's lovely and sunny. A little bit windy though here today. We moved over late last night because there's an airport here, and Judy's got to fly back for the birth of our second grandchild, which is now imminent, so she'll be away for a week or so. I'll be here trying to do a few boat jobs, and there's going to be a limit to what I can do actually, because this, you can probably see and hear, it's blowing about 25 knots. It's going to increase. Meltemi is going to be pretty fierce this week, so I'll be hiding away along this southern coast of Mykonos, and
and trying to get a little bit done. I am going to try and brave the dinghy with my bag of laundry. So there's a laundrette over there I can see on Google Maps, so I'll try and do that and have a little look around, see what it's like. Well, the answer is it's lovely, but by far the most touristy place we've been to this year. Proper holiday makers and all that goes with it. Not a bad place to get things done. So there we go, laundry room, should do the job. Land chores done, and it's back to the boat before the wind kicks up. Okay, so the job for today is going to be fitting this. It's a new water purification system. We've always drank the tank water here on Fair Isle. We don't do bottled water. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I don't want to use all that plastic, and you need so much of it in a hot climate. And you know, if you're at anchor, you've got to cart all that stuff from the supermarket in the dinghy to here, you know, 20 litres of water. Wouldn't have enough room for the wine if you did that. So we don't do that. So what we have had is a filter that's under the sink there. This is a really strong micro filter that takes out, even bacteria, and it works because, we've never been ill. It's always been fine. We've always drank the water. But the problem with it is this. That's the hot water. That's the flow that you should get. And the cold water is that. It really is a pathetic flow rate, and that filter's only been in there, less than 3 months, probably about 10 weeks. And yeah, I mean, it just goes right down really quickly because it just gets blocked up. And I've talked about this before, and someone came up with the bright idea of having a pre-filter, which I've now got in there. It doesn't make much difference, to be honest. It still just goes really slow, really quickly. So you end up just having to take ages filling any sort of water into a bottle if you want clean water. So that's why we're going to switch over to this and see if this does any better. It's supposed to. We've got the Aramax 2. This is Acuva, and the 2 is the 2 litres per minute that's supposed to do. I mean, I think you probably get 2 litres an hour at the moment, so I think that's fine. You can get a smaller one, a 1 litre per minute one, or a 5 litre per minute one, so I think this will be all right. It has a unit here which has the UV, because that's how it's doing it. It's blasting the water with really strong UV, ultraviolet, and it's using LEDs to do that. So this is new technology. It used to be sort of mercury lamps that they used, which they used a lot of energy. They get hot as well, so they fur up. So this has got none of those problems. Very low draw, only takes about 1 amp, and that's only when the thing's running, so nothing otherwise. So yeah, I think it should be good. Should be easy to fit. Got good instructions with it. A little pre-filter. So yeah, I'll put it all on. I'm going to put its own faucet on it as well, because at the moment, I mean, you can have it going through the existing tap as it is at the moment, but then it's through a mixer. You're mixing it with the hot water, so there's you could get contamination through that. So I'm going to do this properly through a separate system and see how it works. What did I say? Easy to fit. Well, it's a boat, so in reality nothing is easy to fit. So after a bit of boat gymnastics, to be fair, this was about getting the old tap out, I managed to find space to squeeze everything in. And you end up with this, a good flow of 100% pure water. And a cool blue light to tell you when the LEDs are energised. Well, I'm glad that I had some inside jobs to do, because you'll see as we come outside, it's really not conducive to work out here. You can hardly walk along the deck here. We've got 30-35 knots, constant wind, have done for the last 3 days, and Meltemi is just blowing its guts out really at the moment. So yeah, look at the state of the boat. It's filthy dirty with sand and salt, so I could do with getting that water maker and being able to keep this boat ship shape on the jobs over the winter. What I'm going to do now, actually, just for the next anchor video, is to have a little dive down and have a look at what the chain's doing in this, because we had a lot of comments in the last anchoring video that we did about people saying, oh, it's not the anchor that holds you, it's the chain or whatever. Well, in benign conditions it is, but not in this. I can tell you. I want to see how much is on the ground. Look at how straight that gets pulled out when we get the gusts here. So I'm going to put my flippers on and see if I can swim up to it. I'll probably have to do it underwater because I'm going to get blown off the surface, I think, here. So wish me luck. I continue to be impressed with the ultra chain hook. Not sure I would have trusted my rolling hitch in this constant bombardment. It's difficult to see here, but I can tell you the chain was being lifted up from the seabed right up to the anchor in the gusts. Well, up to where the chain disappears into the sand at least. The anchor is doing its job brilliantly and is digging down for all it's worth, so I'm not sure exactly where it is. As you can see, I'm still getting blown around a little bit by the Meltemi here, but it's blowing 20-25 knots now rather than 35, so it's much more manageable. But it's something to be aware of. If you come to this part of the world, then anywhere between June and October, it can just blow for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. You never really know. There are some fantastic anchorages here though, some good safe anchorages and just unique places like Delos, which is absolutely stunning and amazing. There's nothing really quite like that. And if you're on your own boat, as you saw, you just get a fantastic experience of going there, outside the times that tourists would be able to go. So it's really good to get to those sort of remote places. We're going to enjoy ourselves here for a couple of more weeks before we get out to Turkey, and we have got this big meetup. It went pretty quickly in the video there, so I'll go through it for you. These are the guys that we're meeting. So it's Mandy and Alex from See the Little Things, and they've got a new baby. So Judy will get more of a baby fix there. Then there's Herbie and Maddie from The Rigging Doctor. They've got a boat with completely Dyneema standing rigging. So it's going to be interesting to have a chat with them about that. A couple more channels over from the US. Josh Post, who's got a long-keeled heavy boat similar to Fair Isle. So that's going to be interesting as well. And there's Joel and Michael from Bums on a Boat. They're going to be good fun. The whole trip is going to be great, I'm sure. So make sure you don't miss that. There'll be lots of extra things on Patreon as well about this, and obviously all the other channels. It's been organised by Andy H from Ocean Cruisers Podcast as well, so check them out. I'll put all the links in the description. He's done podcast interviews with all of us, I think, and many other sailing channels as well. So as ever, thanks for watching. See you on episode 51.